My name is Zoe. I am 61 years old, and for most of my life, I believed love was proven by how much you were willing to endure in silence. I believed that if you gave enough time, money, patience, forgiveness, you would eventually be seen. I was wrong. The night my son humiliated me did not arrive with drama or raised voices. It came quietly, disguised as a family dinner, dressed in warm lighting and polite smiles. And that made it hurt so much more. Some pain doesn't make noise. Some humiliations don't scream. They don't shatter glass or leave bruises. They settle into your chest like a stone, heavy, silent, and impossible to explain. That night I felt that stone pressed deeper than it ever had before. When my son Daniel called earlier that day, his voice sounded cheerful. "Mom, come over for dinner tonight," he said. "Emily's cooking." Emily, his wife, perfect posture, polite smiles, eyes that never quite reached warmth. I hesitated, I always did. Because lately, invitations felt less like love and more like obligation. But hope is stubborn. So I said yes. A mother's invisible labor. I raised Daniel alone. His father left when Daniel was 6. No goodbye, no explanation, just a quiet house and a child who asked where his dad went. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. I learned how to stretch groceries, how to smile when exhausted, how to cry silently in the shower so my son wouldn't hear. I paid for his education. I helped with his first car. I contributed to his wedding when he said, "Mom, we're a little short." I never asked for recognition. I thought love was enough. The table was beautiful, the atmosphere was cold. Emily had set the table perfectly, matching plates, folded napkins, candles placed just right. Everything looked warm. Nothing felt warm. Daniel barely looked at me. His attention stayed glued to his phone or to Emily. I sat there quietly, hands folded, reminding myself I was lucky to even be invited. That should have been my first warning. When respect quietly dies. Halfway through dinner, Daniel started talking about finances. About independence. About grown-up responsibilities. Then he laughed. "Some people," he said casually, "think helping once means you're entitled to a say forever." Emily smiled thinly. Then Daniel turned to me. "Right, Mom." My throat tightened. "I never thought that," I said gently. He leaned back. "Good, because honestly we don't need saving, and we definitely don't need opinions." Emily finally spoke. "Boundaries are important." Boundaries. A word so clean. So modern. So cruel when used like a weapon. Daniel continued, his voice calm, measured, cutting. "Sometimes it feels like you use money to control us." The room spun. I started. He cut me off. "Let's be honest, without us what do you even have going on?" Emily stared at her plate. And just like that, at 61 years old, after decades of sacrifice, I was reduced to a burden at my own son's table. The smile that meant goodbye. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I smiled. Because something inside me finally broke, and once it broke it stopped hurting. "I think I should go," I said calmly. Daniel looked surprised. "Already?" "Yes," I replied. I remembered something important. That night I went home alone. And for the first time I didn't feel lonely. The payment they forgot about. 2 years earlier, Daniel had asked me for help. "Just temporary," he said. "We'll handle it soon." I co-signed a loan. I became the safety net. That night I logged into my account and cancelled the payment. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. The panic called. Daniel called the next morning. "What did you do?" he snapped. "I stopped paying for something that was never my responsibility," I said calmly. Silence. "You embarrassed me," he said. I almost laughed. "No," I replied softly. "You embarrassed yourself, I just stopped protecting you." Emily called later. This isn't what family does, she said. Neither is humiliating your mother at dinner, I answered. Rebuilding a life that was always mine. The weeks that followed were quiet, painful, honest. I realized how much of my worth had been tied to being useful. So I changed that. I joined a book club. I took long morning walks. I stopped apologizing for existing. For the first time in decades, my life wasn't a backup plan. The apology. Months later, Daniel stood at my door. He looked tired, smaller. I was wrong, he said. I didn't see what you gave up. I listened. I forgive you, I said, but things will be different now. He nodded. They always do, once the money disappears. The moral. Hear what 61 years taught me. Love does not mean self-erasure. Support does not mean silence. And motherhood does not require humiliation. Sometimes the bravest thing a mother can do is stand up from the table and choose herself. Because respect is not rebuilt with money. It's rebuilt with humility. And that dinner taught me what I wish I'd learned sooner. You can love your children deeply and still refuse to be disrespected.